What's up guys, my name is Ian Eschenberg, better known as 3Del Printing, and today I will be showing you guys my favorite helmets in my personal collection. I've been 3D printing for a few years now. I've made probably a couple hundred helmets by now. It all started when I saw a TikTok by Frankly Built and some videos by Galactic Armory. Seeing what they were making inspired me to make stuff on my own. I started the journey by buying myself a 3D printer, Creality CR10S, which at the time was the hyped printer. Following the purchase of that printer, I made a few hundred helmets. Since then, I have become an affiliate of Galactic Armory. In this video today, you'll probably see a few helmets that you think are pretty cool, and if you want to make them yourself, go to Galactic Armory and you can use my discount code 3DELPRINT and you'll get 10% off. Without further ado, let me show you some of my favorite helmets that I have in my personal collection. The first helmet that you've probably seen in a lot of my reels and videos is this one. This helmet is Oddball's helmet. If you've seen Attack of the Clones, you'll recognize this helmet because he was the pilot flying the ship with Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's a very sleek design, reminds me of the classic Phase 1 helmet. This is one of my favorite helmets. This is also a helmet that I got the file from Galactic Armory. I've added some padding in there to fit my head nicely. I grew up on the prequels, and seeing this guy's helmet in Attack of the Clones inspired me, and I wanted to make it myself. Oddball's helmet is sick, and what's not to love about it, you know? The next helmet that I want to show you guys is this Paratrooper helmet. Of all the helmets that I've made in my collection, this one is probably the one that I made the earliest. I was still experimenting with some new techniques where you wad up a ball of tape, and after spraying, when the paint is semi-cured, you'll take the ball of tape and you'll dab it or kind of like use it to like rip off some of the paint, creating those chipped marks. This is one of the first helmets that I experimented with that technique. I've used that technique many times since. I actually took a picture of myself wearing it in a suit, and that has been my profile picture on Instagram and social medias ever since. I believe this design is Sergeant Boomer. He doesn't appear in the Clone Wars, unfortunately. Paratrooper is another one of my favorite helmet designs from the Clone Wars, so having my own Paratrooper helmet has definitely been amazing. I feel like it's a part of 3Del Printing. It's been the profile pic of my page for a very long time. So this one's a classic. Definitely love this. And it was one of my first times experimenting with the technique to get the chipped effect. So heading back in the direction of the live actions, this 2/12 Paratrooper helmet is another helmet that I hold near and dear in my collection. Like the others, I got the file from Galactic Armory. Once again, I grew up watching the live action prequels. The Paratrooper helmet appears in Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan is fighting with the 212th and when Order 66 happens. You see a few of these guys running around, and it's a very unique design. It's very different from the standard Phase 1 and Phase 2 helmets that you see. Reminds me a lot of my childhood and watching those movies, Revenge of the Sith specifically. Originally when I started smoothing helmets, I was using Bondo Spot Putty. This is one of the first helmets after I switched from Bondo Spot Putty to Liquitex modeling paste, where I'd take some modeling paste, mix a little bit of water, and just brush it on. It was a new smoothing technique. That's my go-to technique as of right now. So this is one of the first helmets where I use that technique, and it's a classic. So if you watch Revenge of the Sith, you know exactly who this is. All right, sweet. Now back to the Clone Wars. This is actually a design of my own. This doesn't appear anywhere in the Clone Wars. Story behind this design, I had recently made a Vaughn helmet from the 332nd. I had printed this helmet on my Creality CR10S, and I was trying to think of a design that I would really enjoy adding to this. There are plenty of amazing designs from the Clone Wars. I was contemplating those, but tricky part with trying to replicate something that already exists is if you're not spot on, it's going to be really easy to see those imperfections. I know other makers can definitely relate, but it's really easy to see the imperfections in your own work. And that's why most of the helmets that I make, I don't hold on to. One, I wouldn't have space for 200 helmets, but you see the imperfections. That happens. I made this during the winter, so had the paints, decided I was going to go with a 332nd. Looking at the design of the helmet, I was like, perfect, we can add Ahsoka's markings on this part of the helmet. Since I'm trying to use Vaughn's colors, the centerpiece could be the color of his visor. It kind of just all worked together, and I love how this came out. This is a custom design that I created myself. I did make this in the winter, so funny story behind this. The chipped weathering on this helmet looks incredible. Let me show you close up. But interestingly enough, that was more of a mistake than anything. So when I did the paintball technique, since it was cold out, paint hadn't partially cured like my other helmets, but I still went for it anyway. And it just did a lot more damage than I was hoping for. But I went along with what it did and just kind of added to what I had. Sometimes that's going to happen. You're going to be working on something, you're going to forget to do something, or you're going to overdo something, or something's not going to turn out how you like. That doesn't mean that it's over, that you need to start over. You can just go along with it. Just kind of build off the imperfections, because every helmet's unique. It's fun to kind of build like stories around the weathering, like if you want to add kind of a little bit more of like rust look, like my Boomer helmet. If you're looking for a darker like black weathering or gray, I like to do the gray weathering on a lot of the Clone Wars helmets because it kind of adds to that animated look. But when things happen, don't throw in the towel and just give up, because like this one, it wasn't supposed to, a lot of that wasn't supposed to happen, but I just went along with it, and now the helmet turned out so sweet I decided to keep it. So this is another helmet that I have in my collection. It's a custom design that I created that I'm very proud of. So 332nd Pilot from the Clone Wars. So this is a fun one, very unique helmet. As you can see, this was a UCLA themed helmet. As you can see behind me, I played volleyball at UCLA. Started 3D printing my junior year at UCLA. I was playing volleyball, about to get married. I was just doing my thing, making helmets, learning. And during my senior year is when my work started to blow up on Instagram. At my senior banquet, me and some of my teammates wore some of our helmets and just took pictures around UCLA campus. We did it right after our banquets. We were all dressed up in suits and stuff. I posted some reels, some videos, and I think one video blew up. It surpassed 5 million views or something like that. And UCLA saw it. So the official account for UCLA ended up following me on Instagram, which was fun to see because it's UCLA, you know. An alumni page reached out to do a collaboration. For the collaboration, I was like, yeah, like sure. Like I made a helmet like for a collaboration with Gravistar. And I decided, well, I'll just do another helmet for UCLA. I had Paratrooper sitting around, some extra visor pieces, and just got to thinking and designing and ended up putting a gold lens in there and writing UCLA on the side. This is a custom helmet that I made after going to UCLA. Their Instagram page took notice and followed me. And then I was able to collaborate with an alumni page, and I made this in the process. Go Bruins! If I were to be a clone trooper and I could choose my color, design, all of that, it would look something like this. This was a special helmet that I designed with the help of another artist. I have 19 tally marks. The reason I did 19 is because that was my number at UCLA. 19 tally marks, have the green, also use the green visor, which just like green, looks insane. So this was a custom helmet that I made for myself with the help of another artist. Later, we went on to make another 5 or 6 helmets, the original characters battalion, and I did a photo shoot with those helmets. If I were a clone trooper, this would be my helmet. The last helmets that I want to show you guys that I have in my collection, ones that I am never parting with, are actually in this case right here. And I'm not pulling them out, and for good reason. These 3 helmets I made a few years back, right before Fan Expo in Salt Lake City. The reason I made them and brought them to Fan Expo is Ashley Eckstein, Matt Lanter, and James Arnold Taylor were all going to be at the expo. my wife and I wanted to meet them because they voiced some of our favorite characters from the Clone Wars. I made these helmets and did my best to make them as pristine as possible. Brought a 332nd helmet and got it signed by Ashley Eckstein, a 501st helmet, got it signed by Matt Lanter, and a 212th helmet, got that signed by James Arnold Taylor. Those are 3 helmets that my wife would kill me if we ever parted with them, especially Ashley Eckstein's helmet, because Ahsoka's her absolute favorite character. Those are 3 more helmets that I have in my collection. It was great to meet them. We were able to meet all 3 of them in one day, and we were able to get all 3 of those signatures. So there you have it. Those are some of my favorite helmets that I have in my collection. I hope that the stories that I was able to share behind each of those helmets can inspire you guys to make your own. And once again, like I said, most of these helmets, the files can be found at Galactic Armory. Go there, use my code 3DELPRINT to get 10% off and start your own helmet making journey like I did 3 years ago. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Be sure to check out my tutorials if you are making helmets, because those will help you along your journey. Tutorials that I have posted represent what has worked best for me. Best thing that you can do right now is go out there and start making stuff yourself. Hopefully this video has brought you some form of inspiration or motivation, and I'm excited to hear about the things that you guys make. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.